Howdy folks, this is Justro at Metcalf Mills bringing you Story Time Tuesday on Wednesday. It's a day late, but I feel like it's right on time. I hope you enjoy it. On today's Story Time Tuesday on Wednesday, I wanted to talk about myself a little bit. Kind of growing up, some memories I had, and kind of what led me to like what I like and do what I do, I guess. I guess I'll start out talking about my parents, and they always worked hard, and we grow the garden, and mother canned a lot of our food, and daddy worked the garden, and their enthusiasm for that and their excitement, starting in the spring of the year, we'd plow the garden, and that was exciting to do that. And well, we're going to plant this and that, and grow this food, and they brought out the excitement and the value in that by the way they looked at it. And then they planted, was excited about planting, and it was always fun. They made work fun, and they was happy. And that means a lot when you're young and you're growing up. If you're trying to teach your young'uns or your grandyoung'uns something, or any young'uns that you're around, if you're trying to teach them about work and doing things, it's important that you make it as fun as you can for them so it's enjoyable. Because I'm guilty of myself with my girls, not be thinking about other things and not be enjoying and having fun when you're working, and it don't make it pleasant. And I've learned over the years, I had a good example of that to start with, but you just get things on your mind and thinking about other things, and you forget how important that is. But it's real important that you make these things fun for them. Especially when you're doing something that's real important that they'll need to do sometime in their life, probably. Make that as fun as you can and enjoyable, and share excitement with them about doing it. And that'll mean a whole lot to them, and it'll help them and encourage them in doing these important things that we're doing. And, that's some of my first memories going to the garden. Probably one of the earliest memories I got down here on the hill. We had a little old garden spot out through there. It wasn't big, it was just a little extra patch. And I don't remember if it was that spot or this spot down here at the old garden. But anyway, one of the first memories I got is going with Mother from the old house up the hill to the garden. And we was going to dig sweet taters, and she dug them sweet taters out, and man, they was big monster sweet taters. And I remember she was so excited about that, and happy. And she took some of them sweet taters back to the house and fixed them, well, she didn't fix them right then, but I don't think she did. She usually cured them out before she dried them and cured them out before she fixed them. But anyway, she dug them out, and I remember that excitement of her doing that, and how excited she was that her sweet taters growed so big. And that was a happy thing, because me and her had went outside and went and done this, and she was excited and happy about that, and that made me, that set me up to be excited and happy when I go dig a tater. It wasn't just, well, let's go dig these taters so we can get back here and watch TV or get back online or something like that. You know, that was the excitement. The excitement wasn't watching something on TV. We didn't even hardly have TV. We had an old antenna over here on the hill, and it worked sometimes, and we got one station, and somebody'd have to go up on the side of the hill and stand up at the antenna and twist that antenna post real slow and easy, and somebody'd have to be standing down there on the porch at the front door, and somebody'd have to be in the house watching the television. So when they got it right up on the hill turning it and it come in perfect on the TV, you had to holler out, and then they had to holler on up. And that's why you had to go real slow to give them time to get word to you that it was in the right spot. But anyway, I got off the track there. But yeah, the excitement was getting out and going to the garden and digging sweet taters. And it wasn't just, well, we got this work we got to go do. Just, you know, sad and down and out. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it regardless. Why not make it happy? Why not be pleasant and fun? I mean, there's plenty enough things in this world to be down and out and sad about. The least we can do is just be happy where we can and take enjoyment everywhere we can get it. Because there ain't a whole lot of enjoyment to be found out in the world these days. Well, I mean, in my world there is. I hear from all these beautiful people out there sending me these nice messages, and shoot, to me the world's like a bed of roses these days. But I do love it. I enjoy it, and all you people, you share so many wonderful things with me, and it goes with you. If you reap what you sow, and that's true in the natural. If you sow something, most likely it's what you're going to reap. But it just goes to show, you know, I put these videos out, and I try to make them happy and pleasant and enjoyable, and I sow them seeds. And them seeds, I reap that, see? I sow my seeds out there on YouTube's. And then here comes all this back to me, see? You can share these stories about your family and your life growing up. And some of you can say, well, you know, this stirred up a lot of memories in me, good, happy memories. And Justro, I hadn't thought about this in years and years and years. You know, that's, to me, from my view, what I'm putting out there, I get back way more to me than what I put out, because I get to hear from all you people and all these good, nice, wonderful things. And so that's why I say, you know, the world seems real sweet to me, because I hear from all you people from all over, and it makes it real nice, and it gives me hope, and I hope you can see that. There's a lot of good people out there. You can't just believe all the negativity we hear every day, and how bad this is and how bad that is. And there's a lot of good people out there, and they ain't running around hollering and complaining about everything. They're trying their best to enjoy their life in spite of everything. And their priority is to enjoy their life if they can, and not to run around raising Cain about everything going on and getting other people stirred up. That ain't going to do no good. And you can make changes in this world, but you have to do it in a positive way. You have to, just like trying to work, you have to do it in a positive, happy, encouraging way. You can't just do it in an old mad, mean-spirited way. That's not the right way to go about anything. And there may be some changes that needs to happen and be made, but if you got the perspective, well, let's try to make these changes in a way that's, you know, people's gonna take to it. Well, if you're screaming and hollering at somebody, they ain't going to listen to you. If you're raising Cain about something, it's just going to make it so much harder. And it's going to cause people to not want to hear what you got to say. Now I got back off of there again, but going back, what I was saying is, you know, my parents, they made things enjoyable when we done them. No matter what we was doing, cutting wood or whatever, it was enjoyable, and they encouraged me a lot. You know, they'd encourage me a lot and let me know they appreciated what I was doing growing up, and I credit that to how I think about things now. And then with my girls, I try to do the same thing and encourage them and be happy and positive no matter what we're doing. A hard job is going to be hard no matter what. It's easy to be happy while you're doing it, though, and stay positive. I mean, the job's going to be hard. Your mood ain't going to change nothing about the job. Maybe make it harder than what it is. But, so all through my life, you know, it was enjoyable, and I enjoyed doing things, growing a garden. And when we'd harvest something, you know, Mother and Daddy, you know, they'd just be excited and pleased with things, and even if something didn't go right, it wasn't like the end of the world. I mean, this is one thing in your life, you know. You got a whole lot more. The good always outweighs the bad in most cases, hopefully, and I know in mine it sure did. And two, my parents encouraging me, see, it helped me to know I could do about whatever I set my mind to do. And I've done a few things in my life that I guess people thought I was crazy for attempting, but I done them, and I done a good job. And I credit my parents with that, for encouraging me and, you know, just letting me know I could do whatever I set my mind to with that positive encouragement. And that meant the world to me growing up. And about the first opportunity I had to be around building anything was, well, I was real young at the time Mother and Daddy built this house, but I can remember a little bit, you know. I remember getting a hammer and a nail and trying to nail two boards together and mashing my finger real bad. And then later on, I was around, my sister was doing some remodeling on the old house, and I remember being around that, and the carpenter that was working there, I got to talk to him quite a bit, Ron, and you know, I remember him telling me, because I was curious about building, how to do this and how to do that. I wanted to know, you know, and he said, well, he said, it really has to be in you. And I know what he is talking about now. You have to have a real will and interest and want to in you to be able to do things like that. And most of the time, if you want to bad enough, you can do it. And I think that's what Henry Ford said one time. He said, it don't matter if you think you can or if you think you can't. You're still right. You're right either way. You're right. So that's a good, important thing to remember. You know, if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right. And anyway, being around that got me interested in building. And right after that, let's see, was it right after that? I guess it was a little before. No, it was after that. It was after that I built my little wood shop. And it's up in the woods. It's the first little wood shop I had. It's just a little old 12 by 12 square building. And I put a steep roof on it, a 12-pitch roof, like they did all the old buildings, because I'd looked at them and I liked that and wanted to do it that way. And I put a loft upstairs. And later on I cut a hole in the back wall and put a little room out off the back. And I had my table saw in there and my chop saw, and that's where I'd go in there and work. One time I was about 13, on up till I got grown and started working on a job and didn't have time to do that no more. And in that little shop is where I built that first mill, that 16-inch mill that I built when I was 15, that I restocked and restored. I done it in that little old shop. And, you know, I'd spend a lot of my time in that shop, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't have much to work with. I had a few things, tools that I'd gathered up, and nothing real big or nothing, just a few things I'd gathered up, and there's a couple people give me a thing or two and, you know, try to help me along. But I really enjoyed that, and some of the things I was doing then, I didn't have understanding about how you work with wood and how you read wood and things like that. And I look back on some of them things now and I kind of laugh about them because I just didn't know. I didn't have understanding. I had to learn. And I had to want to learn. I wanted to learn it, and I did a lot of it. And when you want to learn and when you develop an understanding for something, then that allows you to do a good job because you understand how to do a good job. It ain't necessarily, I mean, I know people's blessed, and I'm thankful for what I've been bestowed upon, but, you know, if I don't want to discourage anybody. If you want to do something, learn to do whatever it is. Just go after it with your whole heart. And, you know, we've all got a body. Not all of us, but the most of us has got a body and are able to do things. And, you know, you try. You just got to try. You got to try and do your best, and whatever happens, happens. And just because you try and it don't work the first time, that don't mean nothing. Everything didn't work the first time, I'd say. And, well, that's not true. There's been a few things that worked good the first time for me, so I can't say that. But there's been a lot of things that didn't work good the first time for me, and I had to go back and try it again, try it a different way, do it a little different way. So you can do that too. If something don't work the best for you the first time, go back and try it again. But when I started my little wood shop, you know, Mother and Daddy, they encouraged me, and I'd make things, and they'd brag on me, you know, and make me feel good about it. And that just fanned the flames in me to want to do good and try to do my best with things and make things. And you don't have to have somebody doing that for you. I know people that have just growed up dirt poor and not had nothing, and they made their own way from the get-go. They probably didn't have, maybe their mother and daddy didn't encourage them. Maybe they didn't have a mother and daddy, but they had the will and the want to, and they done it anyway. I'm just saying my circumstances and what happened to me and how my life was. I know everybody's different, and don't feel like, well, I didn't have that kind of mother and daddy, or I didn't have a mother and daddy, or I didn't have this or that. You've got a heart in you, and you got a want to, and you got a will. And if you got a desire to do something, chances are, I'd bet that you can do it. May not be easy, may not work the first time, but don't give up. Just keep on. And that's real important this day and time, because right now there ain't no room to give up on nothing. We have to go on. We have to press on. And if it's a little thing or a big thing, we can't give up. We have to press on. I remember when I built that little shop that I had first, there for a few years, Daddy bought sang. He bought ginseng from people and he resold it. And as an old feller brought some sang one night, I can remember it just like it was last night. It was after dark when he brought it. And you know, I was probably 13 years old or something like that, and I'd help Daddy with that sang. I'd help him weigh it and check it out and look at it and all that. And I'd went, that old car come up a driveway, and I remember, I don't know why, just a young boy, you know, sneaking around a little bit, and I run out the back door and I went around and kind of got in a flower bed there next to the house so I could see through them bushes right there. And that old feller come through the yard here, come around and walked up the steps to the door, and I was standing there watching him and knocked on the door, and I went back the other way and come back in the back kitchen door, and he had brought some sang to sell Daddy. And we weighed his sang out and got to talking to him, and he lived over on Schronce Creek, over in Yancey, over at Swiss. And he had an old sawmill, and he sawed a little lumber, and I got to talking to him, figuring up what lumber I had to have to build my little shop, and we figured it up, and I had a little money where I'd worked a little bit, but I think Daddy helped me finish out what I didn't have enough to get that lumber to build my shop with. And anyway, I got to know this feller, and I wound up going over and working with him at the sawmill and helping him saw logs and learning how a sawmill works and everything like that. And a sawmill, an old circle saw, is one of the most dangerous things you can work around. You got the blade that'll cut you. I mean, you got that big old 50 or 60 inch blade turning right there out in the open, and if you stumble and fall or anything on that thing, you're most likely you're done. And then there's a lot of other dangers. You know, rolling logs. You can roll a log over you and it'll kill you. Daddy got his leg mashed about off with a log when him and Pa was logging when he was young. But anyway, the logs can kill you. The saw can kill you. You can be out of danger completely, and that big saw, if it catches a slab or a knot or a little piece of wood, it can throw that and kill you just like that. And I've heard stories about people getting killed with that saw blade, just catch a little chunk of wood and throw it, and it's just, one man, he got hit in the side of the head with just a little old strip of wood where sometimes if you're cutting a slab off or edging a board and there's a knot there, that little short end will break off where that knot's at, because there ain't nothing to hold it. It's again that knot, and it just break right off. I don't know if that's what happened, but anyway, this saw caught that little piece of wood and that little piece of slab and throwed it and hit him right across the side of the head, and he was dead when he hit the ground, they said. So there's a lot of dangers there. And I seen a picture a while back, this man working at his sawmill, it caught a little strip of slab and it throwed that like a spear, and he was standing there with this little skinny strip sticking out of him right here in his shoulder, just like somebody throwed a spear through him. And that wood was sticking out, and he's just standing there, I mean, with that sticking out. So there's a lot of dangers. There used to be a sawmill right here on this place. They logged Chestnut Mountain. This is one of the places they had oxen they used. They drug them logs down. There's a sawmill right here where they sawed them big old chestnut timber when it died out in the blight back in the 20s. And the man that run this sawmill here, his name was T.Y. McCurry. And I think he had another sawmill over here in the holler that one of his boys run. And they said Papa, which is my great grandpa, come over here and watch them saw some, and he said T.Y.'d take a little strip of wood and he'd punch that sawdust out around that big circle saw. And it a running, and him punching that out. And they said Papa told him one day, he was watching him, he said, T.Y., you going to get killed one of these days doing that? He said, nah, I'm careful. Well, it wasn't too awful long after that, he's punching that sawdust out around that saw blade, and that saw caught that strip of wood and throwed it, and I think it hit him across the throat there. And when it hit him across the, did it hit him across or did it stick in his throat? I think they said it just hit him across the throat. It must have just busted everything in his throat. Because that saw blade, it throws something with so much force. Just unbelievable force. And it hit him across the throat there and it killed him. I mean, he fell down and died right here. But anyway, getting back to that, you know, they let me go work at this sawmill, and Daddy had worked at a sawmill for years and years when he was younger. He knowed a lot about sawmills, and he knowed the dangers of them. And I remember he talked to me about it, and he warned me, you know, to be careful, and I did, and everything was all right. But for them to let me, as young as I was, maybe 14, go work at a sawmill like that, I didn't think much about it then because I was young and I didn't know nothing about all that stuff and much. And what I'd been told, and to go get that experience to me was good. It was encouraging, and I learned a lot. And yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. But now thinking about it, they allowed me to do that, knowing all that danger. And I think about, you know, would I let one of my girls go work somewhere like that? Not that they probably wouldn't want to go off bare at a sawmill, but, you know, Virginia's 16, and I was just 14 at that time. And I know they had faith that I'd be all right and the Lord would take care of me, but that'd still be a lot. I mean, you'd have to be pretty faithful to let a 14-year-old go work at a sawmill like that. It still blows my mind to think about it. But they done it. And now I got a sawmill and I can saw whatever I need. And yeah, we're going to get to that here one of these days. There's a lot of things swirling around right now. And there's a lot more things I want to get to than what I've got to. So you can just hang on. It's coming at you. But they encourage me and let me do. And I just wanted to talk about that a little and what encouraged me when I was growing up younger. Because right now, these young people, with all they're having to deal with, we need to encourage them as much as we can. And help them to do these important things. And most of all, make it pleasant for them so they will enjoy it. Because if you're teaching them something and it's a bad experience, you're in a bad mood, or they can't enjoy it, well, they're not going to want to do that. You know, no matter what it is. Most likely, if they ain't enjoying it, if you ain't making it nice for them, and they got a bad memory or a bad feeling associated with it, they ain't going to want to do that. And we got to be careful how we teach them and what we teach them and the way we teach them. Make it pleasant, make it happy, make it a positive experience for them. And that'll really help them. That'll help them more than anything. Teaching them to keep a positive experience first, that'll help them more than what you're teaching them to do, because they'll apply that to other things in their life, and it'll help them in the long run, all the rest of their life. So I'll quit rambling now, and I just wanted to share that with you. And some days I don't. Sometimes what I want to share is already there, and then sometimes I have to think about it. And I wanted to think about today's story time, and I didn't want to rush, and I wanted to have something to tell you worth telling when I told you. Now, there's going to be times when I tell you a big yarn, just a big story, and it'll be fun, but it may not all be true, and I'll tell you that. I ain't going to tell you something because I know there's a lot of people that don't know, or not a lot, but a few that may not know and think I'm serious. But when I'm telling you a yarn or a story, I'll tell you, you know, this is just a story I heard from somebody else, and, you know, it ain't all true or what. But it's fun, and that's something else I'd like to try here soon, you know, is telling you some of the stories that I've learned. And I think I've done that a time or two, but we're going to do some more of it. We'll have a little fun on Storytime Tuesday. This is Justro at Metcalf Mills. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you ain't already. Tell your friends about me. Hit that notifications bell. Make you some good popcorn. And I look forward to seeing you next time.